Most people assume that a soft, puffy-looking face is due to genetics, a higher body fat percentage, or just bad bone structure. But the cause is often far simpler: fluid retention, commonly referred to as bloating. A bloated face reduces jawline definition, makes the cheekbones look less prominent, and rounds the mid-face overall, often resulting in decreased perceived attractiveness. But fortunately, unlike genetics, this is something that we have near total control over. So here are 6 scientifically proven steps to debloat your face. Step 1. Understanding that bloating is mainly caused from the inside. Most people tend to consume way too much salt because it's already added to nearly every processed food. And therein lies the problem. Higher sodium intake raises osmotic load, and water follows salt to keep serum osmolality stable. That is, that your body will hold more water, which will often move into the soft tissues first, especially the mid-face and, say, the under eye area. That's why the American Heart Association advised adults to limit sodium to 2,300 milligrams per day, but recommends 1,500 milligrams as the optimal guideline. To put that into perspective, just 2 slices of white bread contain 300 to 450 milligrams of sodium. So keep an eye on your salt intake and avoid processed foods wherever possible. The second step is to increase the intake of sodium's counterplayer. According to Harvard's SPH, potassium has an opposite effect in the body. It can help relax blood vessels and increase sodium excretion. In simpler terms, more potassium means your kidneys flush out more sodium, and with it goes the water that's trapped in your facial tissues. Sounds great, but here's what most people tend to get wrong. You've probably seen those TikTok clips of influencers loading up on as much potassium as they can. But overdoing it won't actually debloat your face faster. In fact, it can make things worse by throwing off your electrolyte balance in the opposite direction, which in turn can cause your body to retain fluid as it tries to restore balance, leading to even more bloating. So try to aim for 3,500 to 5,000 milligrams of potassium daily, and that's the range recommended by the American Heart Association. The best natural sources include salmon, avocados, spinach, sweet potatoes, bananas, and coconut water, though supplementation can also help. Step 3 is to manipulate your lymphatic system. You've probably seen influencers scraping their face with gua sha, claiming it's going to make them look more snatched. And yes, even though using a gua sha won't burn facial fat as some sources claim, it actually can help to debloat the face by manipulating the lymphatic system. The lymphatic system is responsible for removing excess fluid and waste from tissues. But unlike your circulatory system, which has the heart to pump blood, the lymphatic system relies entirely on movement and manual stimulation. And when your lymph flow becomes sluggish, fluid accumulates in your face. And that's where facial massage tools come into play. Research by Anatol found that facial massage techniques like gua sha promote lymphatic drainage and lead to measurable reductions in facial measurements. However, effectiveness highly depends on one key principle. The direction you move the tool matters more than the pressure you apply. The lymphatic system drains towards specific nodes near your ears and neck, and these are the drainage points. That's why you should always move the tool upwards and outwards towards the lymph nodes. If you're not guiding fluid in their direction, you're actually just pushing water around your face without actually draining it. Step 4, avoid late night carbs. You've probably heard that carbs make you bloated, but that's actually only half the story. The real issue isn't carbs themselves, it's when and how much you eat them. Research by Fernandez Elias found that for every 1 gram of glycogen stored in muscle tissue, your body holds onto approximately 3 grams of water. So a large carb-heavy meal doesn't just fill your stomach, it literally pulls water into your tissues. And this becomes a massive problem when you eat large amounts of carbs late at night, because while you sleep horizontally for 6 to 8 hours, that excess water has nowhere to go but your face. Gravity isn't working in your favor anymore, so fluid accumulates in the mid-face, under eyes, and jawline. And that's usually the reason you wake up looking puffy some days and you just can't figure out why. So avoid large carbohydrate refeeds late at night, especially within 3 hours of going to bed. Step 5 is fixing your sleep position. It's not just about what and when you eat before bed, it's also about how you position yourself in the bed. Because your sleeping position can either help drain fluid away from your face or trap it there. And this is something you can fix starting tonight. A peer-reviewed study by Christensen and colleagues investigated how gravity affects the lymphatic system by changing body position from supine to standing, and found a significant increase in lymphatic function when gravity-assisted drainage. So when you sleep face down or on your side with your face pressed into the pillow, you are physically compressing facial tissue for hours, restricting lymphatic flow and trapping fluid exactly where you don't want it. On the other hand, when you sleep on your back with your head slightly elevated at 15 to 30 degrees, gravity naturally promotes the drainage of fluids downwards, preventing them from accumulating in the soft tissues around the eyes and face. In turn, this is going to result in a leaner, less bloated face in the morning. Step 6 is cold exposure. TikTok presents cold exposure as the ultimate fix for facial bloating, which is partially true and partially misleading. The physiological mechanism behind it is called vasoconstriction. When cold contacts facial skin, thermoreceptors signal blood vessels to narrow, reducing local blood flow and forcing fluid out of soft tissues. Shin and colleagues found that cryotherapy can control eyelid edema, demonstrating that cold application directly reduces facial fluid accumulation through vasoconstriction. But there's a critical limitation TikTok conveniently never mentions. This effect is temporary, lasting only a few hours before fluid reaccumulates. Cold therapy doesn't address osmotic imbalances, lymphatic dysfunction, or glycogen-bound water retention. But what it does is temporarily displace fluid. This might be useful immediately before a date, job interview, or photo shoot, and it's actually an acute intervention, but not a real solution. In combination with all of the other steps in this video, cold exposure becomes part of a complete system. Fix your sodium and potassium balance, stimulate lymphatic drainage, time your carbs correctly, sleep elevated, and use cold exposure as your final tool for immediate results when you need them the most. Hopefully you learned something from this video, and if you'd like to have your face analyzed and receive your custom glow up protocol, click the link in the description and head over to gooz.com.